Imagine this, you're watching a talent show, and there's this kid who's just nailing it on the piano. Everyone's like, wow, they're a natural. They're so talented. But here's the thing, what if talent isn't the whole story? What if there's something else, something deeper, that's actually driving success? That's exactly what Angela Duckworth dives into in her book Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. She flips the script on what we think we know about achievement. Spoiler alert. It's not just about being born with a gift. It's about sticking with something, even when it's hard, and loving it enough to keep going. That's grit. Now, why should you care? Well, think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'm just not good at that, and walked away? Or maybe you've seen someone else succeed and thought, they're just lucky or talented. But what if you could unlock a way to keep pushing forward, even when things get tough? That's where this book comes in. It's not just some fluffy self-help guide. It's packed with research, real-life stories, and practical advice that can actually change the way you approach your goals. Whether you're trying to nail that promotion, learn a new skill, or just get through a tough week, this book has something for you. And who's this for? Honestly, everyone. If you're someone with big dreams but feel like you're hitting a wall, this is for you. If you're a teacher or parent trying to help kids bounce back from setbacks, this is for you. If you're a leader trying to build a team that doesn't give up at the first sign of trouble, yep, this is for you too. Grit isn't just for the naturally gifted. It's for anyone willing to put in the work. So here's the deal. Talent might get you in the door, but grit keeps you in the game. And the best part? Grit isn't something you're just born with. It's something you can grow. Stick around because we're about to break down how. Chapter 1. Showing up in grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth opens with a chapter titled Showing Up, and it's here that she lays the foundation for her entire argument. The core idea is both simple and profound. Effort counts twice. At first glance, this might seem like a no-brainer. Of course, effort matters. But Duckworth takes it a step further, breaking down exactly how effort operates in the journey toward success. She argues that talent is just the starting point. It's effort that transforms raw talent into skill, and it's effort again that turns that skill into achievement. In other words, talent might give you a head start, but effort is what keeps you in the race, and ultimately what helps you cross the finish line. Let's unpack this with an example. Imagine two people learning to play the guitar. One has a natural ear for music, they can pick up melodies quickly and have a good sense of rhythm. The other struggles at first, fumbling with chords and missing beats. At the outset, it might seem like the first person is destined to become the better guitarist. But here's where effort comes in. The second person practices diligently, spending hours each day honing their skills. Over time, they start to catch up. Their fingers move more fluidly, their timing improves, and they begin to play with confidence. Eventually, they might even surpass the first person, not because they were more talented, but because they put in the work. This is the essence of Duckworth's argument. Effort is the bridge between potential and performance. But why does effort count twice? Duckworth explains it through a two-step process. First, effort builds skill. No matter how talented you are, you won't improve without practice. Think about it. Even the most gifted athletes, musicians, or entrepreneurs didn't achieve greatness overnight. They spent countless hours refining their craft, learning from mistakes, and pushing through challenges. Second, effort applies that skill to achieve goals. It's not enough to be skilled, you have to use that skill effectively. This means showing up consistently, staying focused, and persevering even when things get tough. In short, effort is what turns potential into reality. This idea challenges a common misconception, that success is primarily about talent. We often hear stories of overnight sensations or natural geniuses, but these narratives can be misleading. Behind every success story is a lot of hard work, dedication, and, yes, grit. Duckworth cites research to back this up, including her own studies of high achievers in various fields. She found that grit, defined as a combination of passion and perseverance, was a better predictor of success than talent alone. This doesn't mean talent is irrelevant, but it does mean that effort is the real game changer. So what does this mean for you? If you've ever felt like, you're not good enough, or that success is out of reach because you lack natural talent, this chapter is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that effort is within your control, and it's often the deciding factor in whether you achieve your goals. The key is to focus on what you can do, rather than what you can't. Start by identifying your strengths and interests, then commit to developing them through consistent effort. Remember, it's not about being the best right away, it's about getting better over time. One practical takeaway from this chapter is the importance of deliberate practice. This isn't just about putting in hours. It's about practicing with intention. Set specific goals, seek feedback, and challenge yourself to improve. For example, if you're learning a new language, don't just passively listen to lessons. Actively engage with the material, practice speaking, writing, and thinking in that language. The more effort you put in, the faster you'll progress. Another takeaway is the value of persistence. Effort isn't just about working hard. It's about working hard even when it's difficult. There will be times when you feel stuck, frustrated, or tempted to give up. That's when grit comes into play. Remind yourself why you started, and keep pushing forward. As Duckworth puts it, enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Showing up is the first step toward achieving anything meaningful. It's not about being the most talented person in the room. It's about being the most committed. Whether you're pursuing a personal goal, building a career, or trying to make a difference in the world, effort is your greatest ally. So, the next time you're faced with a challenge, remember, talent might open the door, but effort is what takes you all the way. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth dives deeper into the societal obsession with talent and how it can distract us from the real work of achieving our goals. But for now, the message is clear: effort counts twice. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 2. Distracted by Talent and Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's second chapter, Distracted by Talent, takes a critical look at society's fascination with natural ability and how it can often lead us astray. The core concept here is both eye-opening and a little unsettling. Our obsession with talent can blind us to the true drivers of success: hard work and perseverance. Duckworth argues that while talent is undeniably important, it's not the be-all and end-all. In fact, overemphasizing talent can actually undermine our efforts to achieve our goals by making us undervalue the role of effort and resilience. Let's start with a story to illustrate this point. Imagine two students in a math class. One is a natural. They seem to grasp complex concepts effortlessly and consistently top the class. The other struggles, spending hours on homework and often needing extra help. At first glance, it's easy to assume that the first student is destined for greatness, while the second is just treading water. But here's the twist. Years later, it's the second student who becomes a successful engineer, while the first student fades into mediocrity. Why? Because the second student learned the value of hard work and persistence, while the first student, accustomed to relying on their natural ability, never developed the grit needed to overcome real challenges. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. Talent can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it gives you a head start. On the other hand, it can create a false sense of security, making you believe that success will come easily. This is what Duckworth means when she says we're distracted by talent. We focus so much on innate ability that we overlook the importance of effort, practice, and perseverance. And this isn't just a personal issue, it's a societal one. From a young age, we're taught to admire the gifted and the talented, often at the expense of those who work hard but don't stand out as naturally brilliant. Duckworth supports this argument with research, including studies that show how people tend to attribute success to talent rather than effort. For example, when we see a world-class athlete or a renowned musician, we're quick to label them as gifted or talented, ignoring the years of grueling practice and sacrifice that got them there. This mindset can be harmful because it sets unrealistic expectations. If we believe that success is all about talent, we're more likely to give up when we encounter obstacles, thinking, "I'm just not good enough." But the truth is, success is rarely about being the most talented. It's about being the most persistent. So how does this apply to you? If you've ever felt discouraged because You don't consider yourself talented. This chapter is a reminder that talent is only part of the equation. What matters more is your willingness to put in the effort and keep going, even when things get tough. This doesn't mean you should ignore your strengths. Talent can give you a valuable edge, but it does mean you shouldn't rely on talent alone. Instead, focus on developing your skills through deliberate practice and building your resilience through perseverance. One practical takeaway from this chapter is to shift your mindset from a talent-focused perspective to an effort-focused one. Start by recognizing and celebrating hard work, both in yourself and others. For example, if you achieve a goal, don't just chalk it up to being good at it. Acknowledge the effort you put in and the challenges you overcame. Similarly, when you see someone else succeed, resist the urge to label them as talented. Instead, consider the hard work and dedication that likely went into their achievement. Another takeaway is to embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. If you're used to relying on your natural abilities, stepping out of your comfort zone can be intimidating. But it's also essential for developing grit. For instance, if you're naturally good at public speaking but struggle with writing, don't shy away from writing projects. Use them as a chance to build new skills and strengthen your perseverance. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about getting better over time. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Talent is a starting point, not a destination. While it can give you an initial advantage, it's effort and perseverance that will carry you through the long haul. Duckworth's message is a powerful one. Don't let society's obsession with talent distract you from the real work of achieving your goals. Instead, focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, and your willingness to keep going no matter what. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth delves deeper into the concept of effort and how it counts twice in the journey toward success. But for now, the lesson is clear. Talent is important, but it's not everything. And that's a reminder we all need to hear. Chapter 3. Effort Counts Twice in Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's third chapter, Effort Counts Twice, builds on the foundation laid in the previous chapters, diving deeper into the mechanics of how effort drives success. The core concept here is both straightforward and transformative. Effort plays a dual role in the journey toward achievement. First, it transforms raw talent into skill, and second, it applies that skill to reach meaningful goals. Duckworth's argument is a powerful reminder that while talent might open the door, it's effort that carries you across the threshold. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine two aspiring chefs. One has a natural palate. They can identify subtle flavors and intuitively understand how ingredients work together. The other struggles at first, often making mistakes and needing to follow recipes meticulously. At the outset, it might seem like the first chef is destined for greatness, while the second is just trying to keep up. But here's where effort comes into play. The second chef practices relentlessly, experimenting with new techniques, learning from failures, and refining their craft. Over time, they develop a level of skill that rivals, and perhaps even surpasses, the first chef. This is the first way effort counts. It turns potential into skill. But effort doesn't stop there. Once the second chef has honed their skills, they continue to put in the work to achieve their goals. Whether that's opening a successful restaurant, winning a cooking competition, or simply creating dishes that bring people joy. This is the second way effort counts. It applies skill to achieve meaningful outcomes. Talent might give you a head start, but effort is what keeps you moving forward and ultimately helps you cross the finish line. Duckworth supports this idea with research, including her own studies of high achievers in various fields. She found that while talent was a factor in success, it was effort that made the real difference. For example, in her study of West Point cadets, she discovered that grit, a combination of passion and perseverance, was a better predictor of success than measures of talent like SAT scores or physical fitness tests. This doesn't mean talent is irrelevant, but it does mean that effort is the real game changer. So what does this mean for you? If you've ever felt like you're not good enough, or that success is out of reach because you lack natural talent, this chapter is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that effort is within your control, and it's often the deciding factor in whether you achieve your goals. The key is to focus on what you can do, rather than what you can't. Start by identifying your strengths and interests, then commit to developing them through consistent effort. Remember, it's not about being the best right away, it's about getting better over time. One practical takeaway from this chapter is the importance of deliberate practice. This isn't just about putting in hours. It's about practicing with intention. Set specific goals, seek feedback, and challenge yourself to improve. For example, if you're learning a new language, don't just passively listen to lessons. Actively engage with the material, practice speaking, writing, and thinking in that language. The more effort you put in, the faster you'll progress. Another takeaway is the value of persistence. Effort isn't just about working hard. It's about working hard even when it's difficult. There will be times when you feel stuck, frustrated, or tempted to give up. That's when grit comes into play. Remind yourself why you started, and keep pushing forward. As Duckworth puts it, enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear: effort is the bridge between potential and performance. It's not enough to have talent. You have to put in the work to develop that talent and apply it to achieve your goals. Whether you're pursuing a personal passion, building a career, or trying to make a difference in the world, effort is your greatest ally. So, the next time you're faced with a challenge, remember, talent might open the door, but effort is what takes you all the way. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores how grit can be developed and nurtured over time. But for now, the message is clear: effort counts twice. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 4. How gritty are you? In Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, Angela Duckworth's 4th chapter, How Gritty Are You?, introduces a tool that has become a cornerstone of her work, the grit scale. This chapter shifts the focus from theory to practice, offering readers a way to measure their own levels of grit. The core concept here is both practical and empowering. Self-assessment is the first step in understanding and improving your grit. By knowing where you stand, you can identify areas for growth and take actionable steps to build your resilience and perseverance. Let's start with a story to illustrate the importance of self-assessment. Imagine two friends training for a marathon. One is naturally athletic and has always excelled in sports, while the other has never been particularly active but is determined to finish the race. At first glance, it might seem like the first friend has the upper hand. But as training progresses, the second friend's determination and consistency begin to shine. They stick to their training plan, push through tough workouts, and stay motivated even when progress feels slow. By the time race day arrives, it's the second friend who crosses the finish line with a sense of accomplishment, while the first friend struggles to keep up. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. Grit isn't about where you start. It's about how you keep going. And the first step to improving your grit is understanding where you currently stand. The grit scale is a simple yet powerful tool designed to help you do just that. It consists of a series of questions that measure two key components of grit: passion and perseverance. Passion refers to your ability to maintain long-term interest in a goal, while perseverance is your ability to stick with it despite challenges and setbacks. By answering these questions honestly, you can get a snapshot of your grit level and identify areas where you might need to improve. Duckworth emphasizes that the grit scale isn't about labeling yourself as gritty or not gritty. Instead, it's a starting point for self-reflection and growth. For example, if you score high on passion but low on perseverance, it might indicate that you're great at setting goals but struggle to follow through. On the other hand, if you score high on perseverance but low on passion, it might suggest that you're good at sticking with tasks but need to find more meaningful goals to pursue. The key is to use this information as a guide for building your grit over time. So, how can you apply this in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to take the grit scale and reflect on your results. Be honest with yourself. This isn't about judging your worth but about understanding your strengths and areas for improvement. Once you have a clearer picture of your grit level, you can start taking steps to enhance it. For example, if you struggle with perseverance, try breaking your goals into smaller, more manageable steps. This can make it easier to stay motivated and track your progress. If you struggle with passion, take some time to explore what truly excites and inspires you. Finding a goal that aligns with your values and interests can make it easier to stay committed over the long haul. Another takeaway is to view grit as a skill that can be developed, rather than a fixed trait. Just as you can improve your physical fitness through exercise, you can build your grit through deliberate practice. This might involve setting challenging but achievable goals, seeking feedback, and learning from setbacks. For example, if you're working on a project and encounter a roadblock, don't give up. Instead, see it as an opportunity to problem solve and grow. Over time, these small acts of perseverance can add up to significant improvements in your grit. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Grit isn't something you're born with. It's something you can cultivate. And the first step in that process is understanding where you currently stand. The grit scale is a valuable tool for self-assessment, but it's just the beginning. The real work lies in using that knowledge to take actionable steps toward building your resilience and perseverance. Whether you're pursuing a personal goal, advancing in your career, or simply trying to navigate life's challenges, understanding your grit level can help you stay focused and motivated. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores how grit can be developed and nurtured over time. But for now, the message is clear. Self-assessment is the first step in understanding and improving your grit. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 5. Grit Grows in Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's 5th chapter, Grit Grows, shifts the focus from understanding grit to actively cultivating it. The core concept here is both hopeful and empowering. Grit is not a fixed trait. It's something that can be developed and nurtured over time. This chapter is a call to action, encouraging readers to take deliberate steps toward building their resilience and perseverance. Duckworth's message is clear. While some people may naturally have more grit than others, everyone has the capacity to grow it through intentional effort and a growth mindset. Let's start with a story to illustrate this idea. Imagine two students preparing for a challenging exam. One student has always been a high achiever, acing tests with minimal effort. The other student has struggled in school, often feeling like they're not smart enough. When faced with the upcoming exam, the first student breezes through their study sessions, confident in their abilities. The second student, however, knows they'll need to work harder. They create a detailed study plan, seek help from teachers, and practice consistently, even when it feels overwhelming. On exam day, both students perform well, but the second student's journey is particularly remarkable. They didn't just rely on natural ability, they built their grit through deliberate effort and determination. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. Grit isn't something you're born with. It's something you can develop. Duckworth emphasizes that cultivating grit requires both deliberate practice and a growth mindset. Deliberate practice involves setting specific goals, seeking feedback, and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It's not just about putting in hours. It's about practicing with intention and purpose. For example, if you're trying to improve your public speaking skills, don't just give speeches repeatedly. Focus on specific areas for improvement, like reducing filler words or making better eye contact, and seek feedback from others to refine your technique. Over time, this kind of focused practice can lead to significant growth. A growth mindset, on the other hand, is the belief that abilities can be developed through effort and learning. This mindset is crucial for building grit because it helps you view challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good at this," you can shift your perspective to, "I'm not good at this yet." This small change in thinking can make a big difference in how you approach difficult tasks. For example, if you're learning a new skill and encounter a setback, a growth mindset encourages you to see it as a chance to learn and improve, rather than a reason to give up. So, how can you apply these ideas in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Instead of avoiding difficult tasks, lean into them. Set specific, achievable goals and break them down into manageable steps. For example, if you're working on a complex project at work, don't try to tackle it all at once. Break it into smaller tasks and focus on completing one step at a time. This approach not only makes the task less overwhelming but also helps you build momentum and confidence as you progress. Another takeaway is to seek feedback and learn from it. Constructive criticism can be uncomfortable, but it's essential for growth. When you receive feedback, try to view it as valuable information rather than a personal attack. Use it to identify areas for improvement and make adjustments accordingly. For example, if you're working on a creative project and someone points out a flaw, don't get discouraged. Instead, see it as an opportunity to refine your work and make it even better. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Grit is a skill that can be cultivated through deliberate effort and a growth mindset. It's not about being perfect or never failing. It's about learning from your experiences and continuing to move forward. Whether you're pursuing a personal goal, advancing in your career, or simply trying to navigate life's challenges, building your grit can help you stay focused and resilient. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores the role of passion in sustaining long-term effort. But for now, the message is clear. Grit grows, and it's within your power to nurture it. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 6. Interest in Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's 6th chapter, Interest, delves into the heart of what sustains long-term effort, passion. The core concept here is both intuitive and profound. To persevere through challenges and setbacks, you need to be deeply interested in what you're doing. Passion isn't just a nice-to-have. It's the fuel that keeps you going when the going gets tough. Duckworth argues that discovering and nurturing your interests is crucial for developing grit, because it's much easier to stick with something when you genuinely care about it. Let's start with a story to illustrate this idea. Imagine two people starting their own businesses. One is driven by the desire to make money, while the other is passionate about solving a specific problem they've personally experienced. At first, both might work hard, but as challenges arise, late nights, financial strain, unexpected obstacles, the person motivated solely by money is more likely to burn out or give up. The person driven by passion, however, is more likely to push through, because their work feels meaningful and aligned with their values. This story highlights a key takeaway. From the chapter, passion isn't just about enjoyment. It's about finding purpose and fulfillment in what you do. Duckworth emphasizes that passion isn't something you're born with. It's something you discover and cultivate over time. Many people assume that passion is a sudden, all-consuming feeling, like love at first sight. But in reality, passion often develops gradually, through exploration, experimentation, and reflection. For example, you might start with a vague interest in a topic, like photography, and over time, as you learn more and practice, that interest deepens into a full-blown passion. The key is to stay open to new experiences and give yourself permission to explore different areas until you find something that truly resonates with you. So, how can you apply this in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to make time for exploration. If you're not sure what you're passionate about, try new activities, take classes, or volunteer in different fields. Pay attention to what excites you and what feels meaningful. For example, if you've always been curious about writing but never tried it, start a journal or join a writing group. You might discover a passion you never knew you had. The important thing is to approach this process with curiosity and an open mind, rather than pressure to find your one true calling right away. Another takeaway is to nurture your interests once you've identified them. Passion isn't static. It requires ongoing attention and care. This might involve setting aside regular time to engage with your interest, seeking out opportunities to learn and grow, and connecting with others who share your passion. For example, if you're passionate about environmental sustainability, you could join a local advocacy group, attend workshops, or start a project in your community. The more you invest in your passion, the more it will fuel your grit and keep you motivated over the long term. Duckworth also highlights the importance of aligning your work with your interests. If your job or daily responsibilities feel disconnected from what you care about, it can be hard to sustain effort and stay motivated. This doesn't mean you need to quit your job and start over, but it does mean finding ways to incorporate your passions into your life. For example, if you're passionate about art but work in a corporate job, you could take up painting as a hobby or volunteer at a local art museum. Even small connections to your interests can make a big difference in your overall sense of fulfillment and motivation. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Passion is the foundation of grit. It's what keeps you engaged and motivated, even when the journey is difficult. Discovering and nurturing your interests isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity for building the resilience and perseverance needed to achieve your goals. Whether you're pursuing a personal passion, advancing in your career, or simply trying to find more meaning in your daily life, cultivating your interests can help you stay focused and motivated. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores the role of practice in achieving mastery. But for now, the message is clear. Passion is the spark that ignites grit, and it's within your power to discover and nurture it. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 7, Practice and Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's 7th chapter, Practice, takes a deep dive into the mechanics of how effort translates into mastery. The core concept here is both practical and transformative. High-quality, focused practice is essential for improving skills and maintaining grit. Duckworth argues that it's not just about putting in the hours. It's about practicing with intention, purpose, and a commitment to continuous improvement. This chapter is a masterclass in how to turn effort into excellence, offering actionable insights for anyone looking to achieve mastery in their chosen field. Let's start with a story to illustrate this idea. Imagine two musicians preparing for a major performance. One practices for hours every day, but their sessions are unfocused. They play through familiar pieces without paying much attention to mistakes or areas for improvement. The other musician practices for fewer hours but approaches each session with a clear plan. They focus on challenging sections, seek feedback from a mentor, and record themselves to identify areas for refinement. On the day of the performance, the second musician delivers a flawless, emotionally resonant performance, while the first musician struggles to keep up. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. It's not just about how much you practice, it's about how you practice. Duckworth introduces the concept of deliberate practice, a term coined by psychologist Anders Ericsson, to explain what sets high achievers apart. Deliberate practice involves setting specific, challenging goals, seeking immediate feedback, and focusing on technique and improvement. It's not about mindless repetition or staying in your comfort zone. It's about pushing yourself to the edge of your abilities and learning from each experience. For example, if you're learning to play tennis, deliberate practice might involve working on your serve with a coach, analyzing your form, and making adjustments based on feedback. Over time, this kind of focused practice leads to significant improvements in skill and performance. So, how can you apply this in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to approach practice with intention. Start by identifying specific areas for improvement and setting clear, achievable goals. For example, if you're working on public speaking, don't just practice giving speeches. Focus on specific aspects like reducing filler words, improving eye contact, or structuring your content more effectively. Break down the skill into smaller components and tackle them one at a time. This approach not only makes practice more manageable, but also helps you track your progress and stay motivated. Another takeaway is to seek feedback and use it to refine your skills. Constructive criticism can be uncomfortable, but it's essential for growth. Whether it's from a mentor, coach, or peer, feedback provides valuable insights into what's working and what needs improvement. For example, if you're working on a creative project, share it with others and ask for their honest opinions. Use their feedback to make adjustments and elevate your work. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to get better over time. Duckworth also emphasizes the importance of staying focused during practice. In a world full of distractions, it's easy to fall into the trap of multitasking or going through the motions. But deliberate practice requires full attention and effort. This might mean setting aside dedicated time for practice, eliminating distractions, and creating a conducive environment. For example, if you're practicing a musical instrument, turn off your phone, close the door, and immerse yourself in the session. The more focused and intentional your practice, the more effective it will be. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Practice is the bridge between effort and mastery. It's not enough to work hard, you have to work smart. Deliberate practice is the key to turning potential into performance, and it's a skill that anyone can develop with the right mindset and approach. Whether you're pursuing a personal passion, advancing in your career, or simply trying to improve a skill, high quality, focused practice can help you achieve your goals and maintain your grit. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores the role of purpose in sustaining long-term effort. But for now, the message is clear. Practice isn't just about putting in the hours. It's about making every hour count. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 8. Purpose and Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's 8th chapter, Purpose, shifts the focus from the mechanics of effort to the deeper motivation behind it. The core concept here is both inspiring and practical. Having a sense of purpose is crucial for sustaining long-term goals. Duckworth argues that when you connect your personal goals to a larger, meaningful purpose, it becomes easier to persevere through challenges and setbacks. Purpose isn't just about what you do, it's about why you do it, and that why can be a powerful source of motivation and resilience. Let's start with a story to illustrate this idea. Imagine two nurses working in the same hospital. One sees their job as a series of tasks, administering medication, checking vitals, and filling out paperwork. The other views their work as a calling, a way to make a difference in the lives of patients and their families. When faced with long shifts, difficult cases, or bureaucratic frustrations, the first nurse might feel drained and disheartened. The second nurse, however, is more likely to stay motivated, because they see their work as part of a larger mission to care for others. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. Purpose transforms effort from a burden into a meaningful journey. Duckworth emphasizes that purpose isn't something you're born with. It's something you discover and cultivate over time. Many people assume that purpose is reserved for those with grand, world-changing ambitions, like curing diseases or ending poverty. But in reality, purpose can be found in everyday actions and roles. It's about finding meaning in what you do and connecting it to something bigger than yourself. For example, a teacher might see their purpose as shaping the minds of future generations, while a small business owner might find purpose in creating jobs and supporting their community. The key is to reflect on how your work or goals contribute to the well-being of others or the greater good. So, how can you apply this in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to reflect on your why. Take some time to think about what drives you and how your goals align with your values. For example, if you're working on a project, ask yourself why it matters, not just to you but to others. How does it contribute to your community, your field, or the world at large? This kind of reflection can help you uncover a deeper sense of purpose and stay motivated when challenges arise. Another takeaway is to look for ways to connect your daily tasks to a larger mission. Even if your work feels mundane or routine, there's often a bigger picture to consider. For example, if you're in a customer service role, you might focus on how your efforts improve the customer experience and build trust in your company. If you're a parent, you might see your daily responsibilities as shaping the character and future of your children. By reframing your tasks in terms of their broader impact, you can find more meaning and motivation in what you do. Duckworth also highlights the importance of aligning your goals with your purpose. If your goals feel disconnected from what you care about, it can be hard to sustain effort and stay committed. This doesn't mean you need to overhaul your life, but it does mean finding ways to integrate your purpose into your goals. For example, if you're passionate about environmental sustainability but work in a corporate job, you could advocate for green initiatives in your workplace or volunteer with an environmental organization. Even small connections to your purpose can make a big difference in your overall sense of fulfillment and motivation. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Purpose is the anchor that keeps you grounded and motivated, even when the journey is difficult. It's not just about achieving goals. It's about understanding why those goals matter and how they contribute to something larger than yourself. Whether you're pursuing a personal passion, advancing in your career, or simply trying to find more meaning in your daily life, cultivating a sense of purpose can help you stay focused and resilient. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where Duckworth explores the role of hope in maintaining grit. But for now, the message is clear. Purpose is the compass that guides your efforts, and it's within your power to discover and nurture it. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. Chapter 9. Hope Indiana Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Angela Duckworth's 9th chapter, Hope, delves into the emotional and psychological underpinnings of grit. The core concept here is both uplifting and essential. Optimism and resilience are critical for maintaining long-term effort. Duckworth argues that believing in the possibility of improvement and success isn't just a feel-good mindset. It's a vital ingredient for sustained effort. Hope is what keeps you going when the path ahead is uncertain or challenging, and it's a skill that can be cultivated with practice and intention. Let's start with a story to illustrate this idea. Imagine two entrepreneurs launching their first businesses. Both face the inevitable setbacks of starting something new: rejected pitches, financial strain, and unexpected obstacles. One entrepreneur views these challenges as insurmountable roadblocks, believing that failure is inevitable. The other sees them as temporary hurdles, confident that with effort and adaptability, they can overcome them. Over time, the first entrepreneur becomes discouraged and gives up, while the second persists, eventually finding success. This story highlights a key takeaway from the chapter. Hope isn't just about wishful thinking. It's about believing in your ability to influence the outcome and staying resilient in the face of adversity. Duckworth emphasizes that hope is closely tied to a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and circumstances can improve with effort and learning. This mindset is crucial for maintaining grit because it helps you view challenges as opportunities rather than dead ends. For example, if you're struggling to learn a new skill, a hopeful mindset encourages you to think, "I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve with practice." This shift in perspective can make a significant difference in how you approach difficult tasks and setbacks. It's not about denying the reality of challenges. It's about believing in your ability to navigate them. So, how can you apply this in your own life? One practical takeaway from this chapter is to reframe setbacks as learning opportunities. When you encounter a failure or obstacle, try to view it as a chance to grow rather than a reflection of your abilities. For example, if you don't get the job you applied for, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," consider what you can learn from the experience. Maybe you need to improve your interview skills or gain more experience in a specific area. By focusing on what you can control and how you can improve, you can maintain a sense of hope and keep moving forward. Another takeaway is to surround yourself with sources of encouragement and inspiration. Hope can be contagious, and being around optimistic, resilient people can help you stay motivated. Seek out mentors, friends, or colleagues who believe in your potential and can offer support during tough times. For example, if you're working on a challenging project, find an accountability partner who can cheer you on and help you stay focused. Their optimism can reinforce your own and remind you that success is possible. Duckworth also highlights the importance of setting realistic but ambitious goals. Hope thrives when you have a clear vision of what you're working toward and believe it's achievable. Break your goals into smaller, manageable steps and celebrate your progress along the way. For example, if you're training for a marathon, set milestones for each week of training and acknowledge your improvements. These small wins can build momentum and reinforce your belief in your ability to succeed. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Hope is the fuel that keeps you going when the journey is tough. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about believing in your ability to overcome them and staying committed to your goals. Whether you're pursuing a personal passion, advancing in your career, or simply trying to navigate life's ups and downs, cultivating hope can help you stay focused and resilient. This sets the stage for the conclusion of the book, where Duckworth ties together the themes of passion, practice, purpose, and hope to offer a comprehensive guide to developing grit. But for now, the message is clear. Hope is the light that guides you through the darkness, and it's within your power to nurture it. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart. 3. Conclusion. All right, let's wrap this up with a bow. Imagine you're at the finish line of a marathon. You're exhausted, your legs feel like jelly, but you're there. You did it. Now think about what got you across that line. Was it because you were the fastest runner on the block? Maybe not. More likely, it was because you kept putting one foot in front of the other, even when every muscle in your body was screaming at you to stop. That's grit. And that's exactly what Angela Duckworth has been talking about in Grit: the power of passion and perseverance. Success isn't just about talent. It's about that combination of passion and perseverance that keeps you going when the going gets tough. So what's the big takeaway here? The simple, grit is the secret sauce. It's not about being the smartest, the fastest, or the most talented. It's about showing up, day after day, and putting in the work. Duckworth's research shows that grit is a better predictor of success than talent alone. And the best part? Grit isn't something you're born with. It's something you can grow. Whether you're trying to nail that promotion, learn a new skill, or just get through a tough week, understanding and cultivating grit can help you get there. Now, let's talk about how you can actually apply this in your life. First up, personal development. If you want to increase your grit, start by finding something you're passionate about. It's a lot easier to stick with something when you genuinely care about it. Then practice deliberately. Set specific goals, seek feedback, and challenge yourself to improve. Next, connect your goals to a larger purpose. Why does this matter to you? How does it contribute to something bigger than yourself? Finally, cultivate hope. Believe in your ability to improve and succeed, even when things get tough. But it's not just about you. If you're an educator, you can foster grit in your students by creating a culture of effort and resilience. Encourage them to take on challenges, learn from mistakes, and keep going even when it's hard. And if you're a leader, you can build a gritty organizational culture by setting high standards, providing support, and celebrating effort and perseverance. When your team sees that hard work and resilience are valued, they're more likely to stay committed and motivated. So, who benefits from all this? Well, everyone. If you're an individual, cultivating grit can help you achieve your personal and professional goals. You'll be better equipped to handle challenges, stay focused, and keep moving forward. If you're an educator, fostering grit in your students can lead to improved outcomes, both academically and personally. And if you're a leader, building a gritty culture can result in stronger, more committed teams and organizations. In the end, it all comes down to this: grit is the key to long-term success. It's not about where you start, it's about how you keep going. So, whether you're running a marathon, building a career, or just trying to make it through the day, remember, talent might get you in the door, but grit is what takes you all the way. And that's a lesson worth taking to heart.